Hi, my name is Zam. I'm a high school student and a certified ethical hacker. Humanity has escaped a lot of bad things over our many years of existence, notably inequality, forced lobotomies, and 2016 skinny jeans. And that's something great about humans. We forgive and we forget. And in the case of those lobotomies, we were kind of forced to forget. So we learn a lot of things from computers. But computers can learn a couple things from us. Because while computers are incapable of forgiving at the moment, they sure as hell don't forget. And that's why today's episode will showcase the 20-year-old virus that can still hack you. So, there have been many deadly viruses in history, but today we'll be looking at the top 10 deadliest, with the number one ranking being a 20-year-old virus that still attempts to hack you to this day. So, a deadly computer virus is most of the times pretty detrimental, but how deadly it was can be a subjective matter. And this episode will have them listed by monetary loss. And the monetary loss for each virus is determined by the company that probably made your printer, HP. Side note, I find it really funny that HP made the list because while printers can be hacked, they really don't get hacked. Like, why would they? Are they going to waste your ink supplies? So I feel like HP made this ranking because it's easy to rank devastating viruses when you weren't really affected by them. Some other company that got their butts kicked by a virus would be too emotional about their losses to be like, oh yeah, only $500 million were lost. This virus will be in last place. No, they would be like, hell no, you can't say that virus was unimportant. It ruined our company. And HP is like, yeah, yeah, quit whining. You're fine. We didn't get affected by it. And that leads us to our list. In 10th place, we have the Sasser worm. The Sasser worm was written by 17-year-old German computer science named Sven Yaschan. He was arrested at the age of 18 in 2004 after a $250,000 bounty was posted for the computer virus's creator. And a friend of his actually tipped off the authorities that he created not only the Sasser worm, but also the damaging Netsky.ac attack. Yaskan was given a suspended sentence after it was found that he was only a minor when he wrote the malware, and the Sasser worm crashed millions of PCs. And though some reports put damages at $18 billion, the relatively low infection rates suggest it was more like $500 million. No big deal, you know? In ninth place, we have CryptoLocker. Ransomware attacks like 2013's CryptoLocker virus haven't seen as much success recently, and they've started dipping since 2017. But this malware attack attacked upwards of 250,000 machines by encrypting their files, and it displayed a red ransom note saying your important files have been encrypted, and a payment window accompanied the note. So the virus's creators used a worm called the Game Over Zeus botnet to make and send copies of the CryptoLocker virus. According to the report by the security firm Sophos, the average ransomware attack cost the business $133,000. So if we estimate that CryptoLocker hit 5,000 companies, it would put the total cost at $665 million. dollars. In eighth place, we have Slammer. The SQL Slammer worm cost an estimated $750 million across 200,000 computers in 2003. And this computer virus randomly selected an IP address and exploited vulnerabilities and sends itself off onto other machines. And it used these victims' machines to launch a DDoS attack, or a distributed denial of service attack, on several internet hosts, significantly slowing down internet traffic, which was already pretty bad in 2003. Anyways, the slammer worm hit banks in the US and Canada especially hard, taking ATMs offline, and customers of Toronto International Bank of commerce found themselves unable to access the funds. And this attack launched again in 2016, launching from IP addresses in Ukraine, China, and Mexico. In seventh place, we have Code Red. So, first found in 2001, the Code Red computer virus was yet another worm that penetrated 975,000 hosts. It displayed the words hacked by Chinese across infected web pages, and it ran entirely in a machine's memory. And this means it leaves no trace in hard drives or other storage. It lived just in RAM memory or random access memory. The financial costs are about $2.4 billion. The virus attacked websites, infected computers, and made a DDoS attack on the US White House's website. In fact, it was so successful, the White House had to change its IP address to defend against Code Red. In sixth place, we have Zeus. The Zeus computer virus is an online theft tool that hit the web in 2007. A white paper by Unisys 3 years later estimated that it was behind 44% of banking malware attacks. By then, it had breached 88% of all Fortune 500 companies, 2,500 organizations total, and 76,000 computers in 196 countries. The Zeus botnet was from a group of programs that worked together to take over machines and bank accounts. And it did this by working for a remote bot master. It originated in Eastern Europe and was used to transfer money to secret bank accounts. And more than 100 members of the crime ring behind the virus, mostly in the US, were arrested in 2010. So it's not as prominent today, but some of the virus's source code still lives in newer botnet viruses and worms. It caused documented damage of $100 million, but in total cost of like productivity, removal fees, undocumented theft, it's much higher, likely at a just a $3 billion estimate. Later, adjusted for inflation, it would be $3.7 billion. Now we get into some of the good stuff. Number 5, we have the WannaCry virus. The 2017 WannaCry virus is it's a ransomware attack, right? It's a virus that takes over your computers or your cloud files and it holds them hostage. And it ripped through computers in 150 countries, causing massive productivity loss and losses for important organizations like businesses, hospitals, and government. And if they didn't pay the ransom, they were forced to rebuild their systems completely from scratch. The malware spread like crazy to over 200,000 computers worldwide. And luckily, it stopped when a 22-year-old security researcher in the UK found a way to turn it off. I'm forgetting his name. But computers with out-of-date operating systems were hit especially hard. And this is why I always recommend updating your computers, even though none of us actually do. Just please pretend like you're doing it for my sake so I can sleep at night. Number 4, we have I Love You. Similar to the MyDoom virus, this, which we'll get into later, this attack sent copies of itself to every email in an affected machine's contact list. And after roughly May 4th of 2000, it had spread to 10 million PCs. The virus was created by a college student in the Philippines named Onel de Guzman. Lacking funds, he wrote the virus to steal passwords so he could log into online services he wanted to use for free. But he had no idea how far this creation would spread. This virus is also known as Love Letter. It just seems like typical college student things. Who knew it could have had such bad repercussions? In third place, we have Klez. Klez is one of the worst computer viruses ever created. There was roughly $20 billion in damages and infected 7.2% of all computers in 2001, which was roughly like 7 million PCs. The Klez worm sent fake emails, it spoofed senders, and it attempted to deactivate other viruses, which is like a really interesting thing. You know, it's not that often that you see inter-virus competition, as one may say. And as with other viruses and worms, Klez has released several variants. It infects files, it copies itself, it spreads throughout networks, and it's hung around for years. And with each version, it has become more destructive. But Windows has come a long way since this virus has basically crippled it, and it's doing a pretty good job at keeping away any variations or last remnants of the virus. In second place, we have the 2003 Sobig computer virus, which is actually a worm. I don't know why it's called a virus, but it's second in place because it costed roughly $30 billion worldwide, and that was in Canada, the UK, the US, Europe, and Asia. Several versions of the worm were released very rapidly, and they were used. They had an alphabetical naming function, like so big A, so big B, all the way through so big F, and the last so big F being the most damaging. So this was a cyber criminal program that pretended to be legitimate computer software, also known as a Trojan horse, and attached to emails. And it disrupted ticketing at Air Canada, and it interfered with countless other businesses. Despite its widespread damage, the creator of the bug was never caught. Man, it seems like Canada just always gets the worst end of the stick on this. You know, the Toronto Bank completely going down, Air Canada completely going down. Poor guys. I think I gotta go over there and put some sense into them. I'm kidding. If you are a cybersecurity expert from Canada, I have the utmost respect for you. Keep trying to stop all those deadly viruses absolutely obliterating your country. In first place, we have the infamous MyDoom. It was the worst computer virus outbreak in history. MyDoom costed an estimated damage of $38 billion in 2004, and inflation adjusted, it's roughly $5.2 billion. It's also known as Novarg, and this malware is technically a worm because it spreads through mass emailing. And regardless, at one point, MyDoom virus was responsible for 25% of all emails sent. MyDoom scraped addresses from infected machines and then sent itself to those addresses. And it also roped those infected machines into like a web of a network of computers in a network that we call a botnet. And then it performed DDoS attacks. And these attacks shut down like a target's website or server. And even to this day, MyDoom is around, and it generates 1% of all phishing emails. And like you might think 1%, that's not a big deal. Just think about how many like junk emails you get. That is roughly 3.4 billion phishing emails every day, and that's from a virus 20 years ago. So MyDoom has taken a life of its own, infecting enough poorly protected machines to send 1.2 billion copies of itself every year, even 20 years after creation. It's like MyDoom is the LeBron James of computer viruses. The man is still chugging along, regardless of how far out of his prime he is, and still, nobody is able to stop him. Okay, that might be a bad example because now LeBron's son is in the NBA, and let's pray that MyDoom isn't going to have a child on the playing field as well. And, you know, there's no good reason to believe that's not going to happen because even though there was a $250,000 reward offer, the developer of the computer worm was never caught. So there might be another MyDoom coming to computers near you. You know, actually, I am the creator of MyDoom. I made MyDoom in 2004 when I was negative 2 years old. And basically, what happened there was because I was at a negative age, we hit integer overflow. And instead of being negative, I became the largest integer possible at 2 billion, 147 million, something, something. And that made me so old and wise, I was able to create a virus that is impossible to get rid of and will likely live beyond my time. Don't lie to me. I know you computer scientists behind that screen are laughing. And for normal people, I assure you that joke was funny. But if you want some more mainstream humor from my content, check out the rest of the channel and watch my other videos. Thank you for your time, and thank you for watching.